this is Mad Movie Mark, rather Mad Movie Mark movie review. I hope everyone is having a great day out there today. It is a nice sunny day in California, so far so good here. I am continuing to view and review all of Rotten Tomatoes 100% fresh movies. These movies have to have at least 20 critics review it. They all have to give a favorable review. It can have 0 unfavorable reviews, and there are currently about 206 movies on this list. I am on number 2, so good start so far. So far, the 2 movies I have seen are fantastic. So I have a lot of hope that this is going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to see a lot of movies that I enjoy. With that being said, I'm going to tell a quick story. I watched a lot of movies back when I worked at Hollywood Video for 2 years. I probably watched about 2 movies a day, and I worked there for 2 years, so I saw a ton of movies. I also did a podcast off and on, mostly off, for about 8 years, and I saw a lot of movies that time as well. So I have seen a ton of movies in my day. I really thought my top 10 movies that I had was going to be cemented in stone forever. And I think that I might have to bump something for this current movie, The Kid from 1921, starring, produced, directed, written, and music composed by Charlie Chaplin. It also stars Ida Purvance as the woman, Jackie Coogan as the child, also John, the child's later named John, and then Carl Miller as the man. So you already know that I love this movie based on my introduction. Let me go ahead and give kind of a synopsis of what's going on. So the woman and the man have a child. They're very young when they have this child. They end up not working out. They split up. The woman is left with this child on her own. She realizes, unfortunately, that she's not able to care for the child. She can't financially support him. And she's just not able to be the mom that she wants to be. My assumption also is because of her age. And when we first start this movie, we see a grief-stricken mother. She's just beside herself. She has really no idea what she wants to do. She loves this child deeply, but she wants to be able to give it the kind of life that it deserves. So what she decides to do is she makes this decision that she's going to leave the child in an automobile. At that time in the 1920s, automobiles were not as robust. Not a lot of people have them, so the automobile she leaves this child in is definitely one that the person has some sort of status in the world. They do seem like they have a lot of money, so she leaves him in the car thinking that he's going to have this great life, that he's going to have all the money he needs and all the caring and loving that he needs. A couple minutes later, a group of 2 thugs come in, and they essentially steal the car, not knowing that the kid is inside of it. They drive the car a little bit. They get out. Once they realize they are far enough away, they're relieved that they were able to steal this car. But then they notice that the child is crying. So in kind of a hectic moment, they take the child, they take him to what is essentially the ghetto, and they just leave him by a trash can. Then enters Charlie Chaplin's character, who is his famous tramp character that he played in a lot of his movies. He finds the child. He kind of frantically tries to find the parents of the child. He asks everyone. He looks around everywhere. Then he notices a note that the child has that says, please love and care for this orphan child. So he realizes that the child is an orphan, that the child's just kind of been left there. So he takes it upon himself to take the child home. He names the child John, and he is going to somehow care for the child the best he can. So then we go 5 years into the future. Him and the child are best friends. They clearly don't have a lot of money. They're still living in the ghetto area, but they have a lot of love, and they're essentially living off love. They have this scheme where the child throws rocks into windows of unsuspecting victims, and then Charlie Chaplin comes by with sort of like these glass panes attached to his back, and he is able to repair the window. And it's basically a scheme where they're breaking windows and they're repairing them to get money for it. Soon after this, the cops find out. They kind of chase them back to the ghetto, and their day is done. They have dinner, and their day is done. The next day, the child John gets into a fight with another child. At this point, we learn that the mother who gave up the child has become this famous actress. She is now world known. She's rich. She has tons of money, and she is very distraught that she gave up the child. She's been looking for the child this whole time. She is regretting the fact that she gave up her only child, and she desperately wants him back. Uh, so back to the ghetto where the child is fighting with this other child. He ends up winning the fight. Charlie Chaplin at first does not want the fight to continue, but once he realizes his child is winning, he's in there and he's, in there rooting on his son. And then the other child's dad comes into the picture. The other child's dad is much buffer, much bigger than Charlie Chaplin. They kind of get into a scrap. Charlie Chaplin is just kind of ducking out of the way the whole time. Doesn't really throw any punches. He's just ducking. And then the mother who gave up the child enters the picture. She, now that she's big and famous, she routinely comes back to this ghetto area to get back to the community. She offers food, money, whatever she needs, trying to help those who are downtrodden. She sees that this fight is going on. She breaks it up, and she tells Charlie Chaplin's character that his child is very ill and he should be seen by a doctor. Charlie Chaplin calls a local doctor. The doctor does agree that this child needs care and medicine, and just to verify, wants to make sure that the tramp, Charlie Chaplin, is the father. He says, well, not really, and then he shows the note that the mother left, and the doctor is kind of horrified that this guy is taking care of this child that's not his, and he says, you must give him away to the orphanage. This child needs the best care possible. He needs someone with money. He needs someone who can actually give him a good life and not a tramp who's down on his luck. The next day, the orphanage comes in. They take the child screaming, crying, yelling. He doesn't want to go. He loves Charlie Chaplin's character. He loves his father. This is his father, even though it's not his biological father. He wants to stay. Charlie Chaplin is also, fighting. He wants his child back. He doesn't want his child to go. These two have a bond that, it should not be broken. They end up taking the child. Charlie Chaplin is able to follow the car by jumping on rooftops, jumps into the car, gets his child back. They're then kind of on the lam from the cops because the cops know about it, and they know that Charlie Chaplin is not the real father. He just kind of has the child. The tramp and the son end up staying the night at like this, it's kind of a rundown, I guess, like motel from back then. I don't know how else to describe it. The motel owner is reading the newspaper and he sees that there's a $1,000 reward for Charlie Chaplin if you find him and the kid. So in the middle of the night, while they're both asleep, he takes the child and he takes him to sort of like the orphanage, I believe, or the police station. I'm not kind of sure which one it is. Charlie Chaplin wakes up. He is just beside himself. What happened to his kid? And then we see at the orphanage, they found the mother who gave up the kid. She's the one who's been going to the orphanage to give back. Sorry, I just dropped my mic. She's reunited with her son, and at the end of the movie, the cops find Charlie Chaplin. They take him to the house where the mother is, and Charlie Chaplin and the son are reunited. And then the mom realizes that he did give the child love. That was what she wanted. And even though he doesn't have money, they have something that's greater than money. They have love for each other, and that they should definitely be together. So that's essentially the whole movie summed up. Like I said, this movie is absolutely fantastic. The storytelling, it's only like an hour and 10 minutes, but the way they tell the story is seamless. It's paced perfectly. The acting is absolutely amazing. I think that normally when you see a movie where there's a child actor, if this is a silent film, I think that helps it a lot, because if you watch a movie like Shane is a very popular, considered one of the greatest Westerns of all time. But the child in Shane, for me, makes it almost unwatchable. It's the same with that Indiana Jones movie with the child. children in movies are really hit or miss. A lot of times they're miss, but this one was really good because you just see the emotions of the child, and he does an incredible job showing his emotions, showing his love. Charlie Chaplin and him are perfect together. You actually think while watching this movie that they are father and son. That's how close their bond is. This movie just sucked me in right away from the very beginning. I was believing everything that was going on. I was invested in these characters, and this is one of those movies where you forget that you're watching actors on a screen. You think you're watching a real story with real people that's being shown to you on screen. It's absolutely amazing. I also will say that I watched The Golem this week and I reviewed it. I have also seen like The Artist, and I've seen Nosferatu, and I've seen a few other silent movies. This one for me, so if you're comparing this to something like The Golem does all their music. It's all strings, and it's all woodwind music instruments. But Charlie Chaplin does all piano music. I don't know if this is just because it's like considered a comedy, and comedies are like more upbeat with the piano playing, but the piano music in this movie, it's fantastic. It really does do a good job of making some scenes tense, making some scenes comical. It really helps with the pacing of the movie, which I thought was amazing. It's really great to see different silent movies, to kind of see how they paint the scenes and how they are able to bring the movie alive without spoken dialogue. The music for me is something that really makes or breaks one of these movies, and having it all piano music I thought was genius. And the fact that he produced, wrote, and composed the music is absolutely crazy. This movie is heartbreaking. It's heart-wrenching. I mean, when the mother gives up her son in the very beginning of the movie, I feel like I feel like I'm watching Up, or I'm watching Finding Nemo, where they just like crush you in the very beginning. And then later on, you're able to kind of recover from that. And then at the end, they kind of crush you again. So it's like a sandwich of just crushing on both ends and, being hooked in the middle. It's absolutely astonishing. This movie already makes me glad that I'm watching all the 100% fresh movies on Rotten Tomatoes, because never in my life, this is the second movie I've seen with Charlie Chaplin. The first one was The Great Dictator, which I thought was really good, but I never in my life would think that a silent movie would be one of my favorite movies of all time, let alone a Charlie Chaplin movie. Because obviously I know he's a great actor, but I never gave him a chance because I figured silent movies, when I saw The Artist, I honestly, it scarred me for silent movies because I really didn't like The Artist at all. And I thought that, if this is kind of what silent movies were like, I really don't want to watch this. But then I watched Nosferatu, and my opinion of silent movies my opinion was more favorable after that. But now that I've watched this movie, I want to go watch every silent movie ever made. This is, I have no words for how moving, emotional, and just fantastic this movie is. And like I said, you really feel the anguish on the mother. You feel the anguish on Charlie Chaplin. It's just fantastic. I recommend anyone who wants to just see a really good movie to watch this movie. This is an easy 10 out of 10. I'm only on the second 100% fresh movie, and already I've given a 10 on this movie, but I really can't give it anything less. This is a perfect movie. There's nothing about this movie that I would change. Artistically, emotionally, acting, music, everything is perfect. 10 out of 10. I can't wait to continue on this trip of watching all these movies. This has really energized me, and I am ready to go. Thank you. I hope you have a great day, and I hope that you catch me for my next review. Thank you.